We're at the Warsaw Security Forum 2025, and I'm now joined by Miroslav Lajčák, the National Security Advisor to the Prime Minister of Slovakia. Hello, sir, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, now, this morning we woke up to the news about Moldova. It looks like the path towards European integration, and the people of Moldova have chosen the direction they want to head in their country. And we also heard about the multiple attempts of, Russian interference, disinformation, of course, these protests that we saw last night. How do you view this situation that we woke up to tonight?
I think we woke up to really great news, a very positive news. Moldovans chose European Union over any other alternative. I had the privilege to negotiate the association agreement between European Union and Moldova on behalf of the EU. I feel very strongly for the country. I think the message goes way beyond Moldova. It's really first and foremost about what the Moldovans want, but it's also very important for Ukraine to know that their neighbor will continue to be a European country. It's a very important news for European Union. European Union has invested a lot in a positive way in European Moldova, and this is investment return. It is also very positive news for the EU enlargement process, because Moldova has a very good chances to progress, and these elections were, of course, the decisive moment. So now I really expect, my interpretation of these elections is that Chisinau told us, we did our part, now we expect you, European Union, to do yours. So I really expect this to give also the impetus to the enlargement process. So and of course also the result we were all expecting, like rather narrow margin, but this was a landslide, so this makes the good news even better.
Right, now when you say the European Union, it's time to do your part, the European Union has a mixed track record on that. Would you agree? And what do you think this means for Ukraine and Moldova? Will they come before maybe some countries in the Western Balkans?
Absolutely, and I have to agree that the track record is mixed, because European Union was always clear in words, but not always so clear in actions, and there has been a stagnation in the EU enlargement process for almost 10 years after Croatia joined, and the wake-up call came with Putin's aggression against Ukraine. But now we have the momentum. European Union got its acts together, and it's ready to receive new members. Now it's up to new members to be able to meet the criteria, because there will be no free ride here. And out of the 6 candidates and potential candidates in the Western Balkans, Montenegro and Albania are progressing well. Ukraine is doing its homework in a remarkably good way. And Moldova was, as I said, now in the wait-and-see mode, but of course they have done everything they were asked to, but these elections were very important. So now I really expect both the East and the South to create a positive pressure on the European Union, on the institutions, on the member states, to say, here we are, and we are demonstrating our belief in European values, and we expect Europe to keep your promise given to us, and let us proceed together.
Certainly. Now, I'd like to switch to Slovakia, of course, and often we report in the media, situation in Ukraine, the relationships with Russia. We often group Slovakia and Hungary into the same bundle, if you will. Are we right to do that, or are there some really important differences that you can point out for us?
Yeah, I've been long enough in diplomacy and in politics, and I know how perceptions are being created and shortcuts, but usually the reality is way more colorful, I would say. Look, Ukraine is our neighbor, and when my Prime Minister met with President Zelensky 3 weeks ago, he said very clearly that Slovakia wishes Ukraine to achieve a just peace and to be able to focus fully on its economic development and European integration. And he said that Slovakia will be very supportive on both. That means Slovakia is ready to be part of security guarantees for Ukraine, and Slovakia fully supports Ukrainian European ambitions, and not only verbally, but also through the transfer of our experience. So this answers your question where Slovakia is when we speak about the opening accession negotiations, we always refer to 26 versus 1. We never say 25 because Slovakia has been very clear on that. Slovakia, I recently saw a statistic saying that according to the per capita, Slovakia is number 8 among the EU member states in providing assistance to Ukraine. I mean, don't forget that Slovakia donated its S-300 system and all of its 13 MiG-29s to Ukraine, and the cooperation continues. The two governments met 3 times, and the fourth meeting, government to government, is prepared for later in October. So I can say that Slovaks are wishing the best to Ukraine and are willing to welcome Ukraine as part of the European family.
And there's a lot of Slovaks are selling a lot of weapons as well to help with Ukraine.
That's huge. That's really big. Yes.
Yep. Well, now there's one, I guess, issue where maybe it's not so crystal clear, and this is has many of us wondering, why does Slovakia is putting all of its dependence on Russia when it comes to oil and gas? Because if we look across the European Union now, I know that there's still significant quantities and euro amounts of oil and gas still being consumed in the European Union, but everybody is making the best effort to diversify away from the gas and away from the oil. Slovakia, since Robert Fico has stepped in, has actually increased its dependence on Russian gas. Between 21 and 23, actually that was reduced by interconnectors in Poland and diversifying supplies, but now through the South Stream, the Turk Stream, excuse me, that number is changing. Is this a good strategy?
I think the best answer lies in the fact that Slovakia, being the neighbor of Ukraine, is also the country through which the pipelines delivering Russian oil and gas go further to the Western Europe. And there has been a belief in Slovakia across governments for many years that we are in the safe place because this can never stop. I mean, who would have imagined something as insane as the Russian aggression against Ukraine, right? So that means...
But it did stop in 2013, am I correct? There was a brief moment where
in 2009, that was the first time when Russia stopped its supply. Yes, and that was the first warning light. And what we did was that we built interconnectors with every neighboring country, and this is already done. Also, it was the Robert Fico's government that used or created the conditions for the reverse supply of gas into Ukraine, and our capacity is much bigger than the one of Poland or Hungary, for example, and this has been functioning for years. Now, I would say the country has relied probably on the long-term contracts, and again, believing that this gives you guarantee and predictability. Now, the cutting yourself off this contract brings danger of arbitration with potential high fines for the country. So it's not an ideological issue. It's not a political issue. It's a contractual issue. Yes, here you have guarantees, long-term contracts, and routes. We understand the situation. We read the situation well, and it's very clear that this is changing with Repower Europe, with the discussions about the crude oil. Yes, but that also means we are stepping from the known into the unknown territory, and of course we need to get additional new contracts, negotiate new routes. This work is in progress. It is happening, but again, this is not an ideological. But yes, what I hear in Brussels is that you should have known this was coming. Again, being as closed and providing, basically transporting like 10 times more of gas and oil than our consumption was, because other countries were dependent as well, gave some probably false feeling of security to several governments in Slovakia. But now we know the tide is here and it's high.
What are you hearing from Brussels in terms of these potential tariffs that they could place on piped oil, piped gas?
Well, right now it's on the table, it's being discussed, so I don't want to speculate about it, but it is there. I mean, this is, and
would this change the calculation?
I mean, the calculation is already, I mean, the calculation reflects the reality, and the reality is such that we see what's happening. I mean, the gas has been addressed through repower, oil has become an issue, personal issue for President Trump. And EU follows, as a matter of fact. So we understand this, and we are doing our best to find a way. I mean, through this situation. But we read the situation again realistically.
Donald Trump recently said that Ukraine can win the war and can win back all of its territory. You, sir, as the national security advisor to your prime minister, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think that's possible?
What I want to say is to accept that you can change borders by force, that you can invade other countries and grab part of their territory would be a huge defeat for all of us, because that would mean that we have gone back in the history of humankind and we are back to the law of jungle. So, of course, we all wish for Ukraine to restore the full control over its territory with internationally recognized borders. That's the best wish for all of us, because we don't want to create a situation when we can no longer be secure. Slovakia has no territorial ambitions. Therefore, we obviously highly respect the territorial integrity. So, and this is for, of course, for the political will, for the military support, for the financial support to achieve this goal. I, as a diplomat, of course, wish to see a political process that will lead us to a just peace, and that's what I don't want this war to end up with Ukraine losing its territory, because that would be a collective loss or collective defeat to all of us.
Yeah, it would be a total disaster. Miroslav Lajčák, the National Security Advisor to the Prime Minister of Slovakia, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
And that's all the time we have on this edition of World Talks. Thanks for joining us, and stay with us here on TVP World for more.